Kia ora and welcome back to Returning to Wholeness with Catherine Parslight. In this episode, I'm joined by the incredible astrologer and intuitive guide, Deidre Wilton, for a powerful conversation on the energies shaping 2026. A year of new beginnings, sovereignty, and deep personal empowerment. Together, we explore the astrological alignments influencing this next chapter, what they mean for our individual and collective evolution, and how galactic energies are supporting an awakening of human consciousness. We talk about sovereignty, self-awareness, and why true security comes from within, not from external systems, narratives, or fear-based media. This conversation invites you to reconnect with your inner authority, strengthen your self-regulation, and remember the power you hold to consciously manifest a future aligned with your highest intentions. We also reflect on the importance of community, collaboration, and individuality in healing as we move through rapid, energetic, and spiritual change. If this episode resonates with you, I invite you to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast and share it with someone you feel may need this conversation right now. Your support helps this kōrero reach those who are ready to remember who they are. So take a deep breath and let's dive on in. Kia ora, Deidre. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
But nice to be here again.
It's always lovely to have you with us. So how has your break been? Have you had a good summer break? You ready to get into this new energy of 2026?
It's been very busy and, sort of hit the ground running this year. But I think from memory, 2025 was very much the same. We hit the ground running at the beginning of that year as well. But yeah, no, I've had a lovely time and, living in a different place. The weather down here is just so divine. Why did I live in Wellington so long? But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous down here. It's beautiful. I'm loving the weather.
I was just talking to Blair Styra not long ago, and he was talking about the weather in Wellington, very windy.
He's been there a long time too. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't complain about the weather up here. We've had just enough rain to keep my gardens healthy and just enough rain to keep the water tanks full and just enough summer to just feel like I've had a beautiful vacation. But I am ready to hear all about the energy of 2026. So
yes.
What do you think? What have we got? We've got Capricorn at the minute, right?
Yeah, we have. And it's interesting that inner planets at the moment are sort of moving in alignment with one another. Mercury, Mars, and Venus tend to be following the same pattern, even though they move in different orbits and have different lengths of time that they spend in each sign of the zodiac. They're all sort of overlapping each other at the moment. So it started when they were in Scorpio. They did the same in Sagittarius. They're doing it again in Capricorn. It'll be the same next month in Aquarius as well. And, as they do this, some of the outer planets that move a lot more slowly are already sort of residents of that sign of the zodiac, particularly at the on the, I think it's the 18th or the 19th when the energy of Aquarius comes in. And then we've already got Pluto in Aquarius as well. So that's going to be very significant with all of those planets sort of line up there. But, the main thing I feel for 2026 from an astrological perspective is very much about the Aries energy. Neptune on the 26th of this month of January finally moves into Aries fully for another 14 years. And it's been 150 years since Neptune was in Aries. So the last time Neptune was in Aries was the American Civil War. And that was also the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. So, there's a lot of similarities coming up, which is just showing, when planets return to a sign that they've been in before, we can usually expect similar experiences to happen because it's all about learning about a certain thing and a certain way of doing things. So Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is the planet of war. So there's no doubt really that, as we can see around the world at the moment, we're already in World War III, whether it's been labelled that or not, it's already there. And I don't think that's going to get any easier as the year gets on. I'm hoping I won't get any worse, but I feel there'll be quite a few flare-ups because this energy kind of needs to use itself up. It needs to sort of come to a head, like a pimple or something like that. It needs to come to a head so it can be released completely, and we're not dictated to by it anymore. So we've got Neptune. So Neptune's going to move into Aries. So while Neptune was in Pisces for the last 15 years, it was very much the age of illusion, where things, we had all of these beliefs, all of these things that we thought were true, but had really true. It's turned out as this has gone on that they're not quite so true. It's like, what's that expression that a conspiracy theory, what's the difference between a conspiracy theory and a fact? And I think the answer was 3 months or something like that. Basically, before one becomes the other. And so it's
Right.
sort of that energy. And the other
Okay.
thing is Saturn is moving very closely behind Neptune at the moment, and Saturn is our teacher. He's the most important planet in our chart. And so on the 14th of February, he moves fully into Aries as well for 3 years. And so we've had him in Pisces for the last 3 years. And so we're in the final, and I keep talking to people about this, we're in the final, what we're now about 4 weeks really, final month really of Saturn in Pisces. And the lesson of Saturn and Pisces for everybody is, what do you want? So we're at the start of a whole new year, and we've got like another month to decide what is it you want for this year and for the next 9 years, because this is a number 1 year, which means the start of a whole new 9-year cycle. And so we're at this time. So now is the time for dreaming, fantasizing, imagining, creating whatever you need to do within your own head that is going to help you create what you're going to want to do with this year and moving forward. Because I really feel that by the end of February, when both Neptune and Saturn are firmly in Aries, it's going to be a time of, hopefully, of epiphanies for people, where people are going to go, I know how I'm going to make this work. This great dream I've had for the last 10, 15 years, I finally know how I'm going to get it off the ground. I finally know what structure it needs, what type of foundation it needs, who I need to help me. It's all going to come to us, but not till the end of February. So my advice to everybody, even though it feels like we've hit the ground running at this time, it's not time to actually firmly put any plans in place until the end of February. Because you'll get clarity then. And that's what we're waiting for, is the clarity. We've got the ideas, the imagination, the creativity. We've got all of that, but we don't quite know how's it going to work? What's it going to look like? What needs to come first? And so the other thing I would also encourage people to do is write things down on paper. Get it out of your head. Because as long as it's in your head, it's very abstract. It's a bit this and it's a bit that, and it feels like this and it feels like that. But when we write something down, we can look at it and go, well, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Or you can look at it and go, oh my God, that's it. That's exactly what I've been looking for. So yeah, there's a lot of a year of new beginnings. Number 1 year. So there's also the age of sovereignty, or the year of sovereignty. I really felt that 2025 was the year of authenticity, where it became very important for people to be aligned truly with who they are. So what you were putting out there, what you were saying, what you were acting, what you were doing had to be aligned with who you truly are. And we started to see within ourselves and in the people around us where this was out of balance, where people weren't aligned, where they were dancing to someone else's drumbeat, or riding someone else's coattails, or pretending to be what they were not, whatever it was. And it became very obvious when this was out of alignment. And so once we got the alignment, this is the year of sovereignty. And sovereignty means it's a year when we go back to thinking for ourselves, making decisions for ourselves. And we're doing so with the knowledge that what we feel and believe for ourselves is what is best for us. So we're not doing it in a sort of, I'm in charge of me and I get to make all the decisions for me. It's not so much that energy, it's deeper than that. It's like, I know what is best for me because I'm aligned with who I am. And so therefore, whatever I choose in this lifetime has to work for me, not work for everybody else. And I think we've all spent many, many years, doing what we were told, doing what other people expected of us, playing roles, playing games, whatever it might have been. And it's time for that all to be over, so we can actually clearly take a step forward. So the other thing is, it's the year of the horse, or the fire horse. So last year was the year of the snake. So whether you're a snake or not, every time it's the year of the snake, every 12 years, you shed a skin, because that's what the snake does every year. And the skin that you shed is the part of your life that doesn't fit you anymore. The part that, the part that you've outgrown, or is uncomfortable, or is just, shabby. It needs to go. And so we've shed that old skin. So I think I can't remember exactly what date the year of the horse starts, but it's in mid-February, I believe. I have to look up the date. And so with that shedding of the skin, we step into the year of the horse, and it's the fire horse. So if we think of horses as an animal, a horse is very strong, it's very powerful, it tends to head in a direction, and it's got a lot of tenacity, it's got a lot of stamina, and it's got a beautiful connection with its rider. So I sort of feel the thing we've got to look at there is being more connected with ourselves, so that we are the horse and we are the rider. So having that loving, trusting communication with one another. And so I think you can maybe look at your horse as being your higher self and yourself as being yourself, and making sure that whatever you're asking your higher self to do is going to take you as far as you need to go or as high as you need to go in a very positive way. But the other thing, if you think about the other analogies of being a horse, what you don't want to be is a rocking horse and going back and forth in the same place and not going anywhere. You also don't want to be gun shy, a horse that just charges off in any direction as soon as it hears a loud noise and has no idea where it's going or what the destination is. You want to be a thoroughbred. You want to look after yourself. You want to be trained. You want to be focused. You want to be exactly what you need to be to move forward. And that's, I think, is the thing for this year, is that we've all been sort of stuck in this, almost feels like a quagmire of sort of molasses or something. It's been hard to move. And I think this fire horse energy is really going to give people a push. But we've got to realize is that with all of the Aries energy, we can't all be in charge and it can't all be done your way. So we're going to have to learn how to work with one another in a much more, in a way where we honor each other's gifts and talents and what we bring to the table, but also in a way that doesn't make you right and me wrong. It just means we add all this together to create community. And I really feel
Very
that is
Aquarius-like.
yes,
Aquarius-like, hey?
very much so. So what's your take on the new year? What do you think it's going to be all about?
Oh, just what you just said.
I'm sure you're going to something to
A
add
lot
to
of,
that.
yeah, a lot of productivity, a lot of, dreams coming to fruition, new beginnings, renewal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do feel like I also, as we've talked about before, work with the dragon energy. And I kind of feel that dragons and horses are quite similar in the sense that they both have riders, but there's also that very strong telepathic communication between them where they just work well with one another. So I think that's something to be aware of, whether you're using horse energy or dragon energy this year, is start being aware that there's another force or there's another thing that supports you, that loves you, that guides you and looks after you, and not being afraid to lean on it a little bit and ask for its help and ask for its guidance and support. Because a horse
Yeah.
will always carry you home, you know?
I think we've talked about this a few times as well. It's around about, feeling into things instead of just working with this. It's really about coming into your heart center and really feeling into any questions you have and allowing yourself to trust that inner guidance, that inner navigation
Yeah.
system.
And not being afraid to speak up about these things. Because, I mean, as we step more and more into the age of Aquarius, it's becoming more and more normal for people to have a different idea of how to do something or a new solution for something. And, even 2 years ago, if you came up with a different solution, it was, oh, no, we don't do it that way. We do it the way we've always done it because that's tried and true. But what we're realizing is that the tried and true is actually corrupt, very, very corrupt and broken. And so we don't want to keep doing things that way anymore. So, yeah, I feel it's going to be a good year. I mean, 2025 was very disruptive, but I actually had a great year. I mean, a lot of things went on, but I think as the world becomes more chaotic around us, we're actually getting stronger within ourselves by resisting that energy. And think, all the chaos, all the stuff that's going on, we can't keep focusing on what's broken. We have to start looking for solutions. And that's really the sovereignty thing as well, is looking to what have I got to share? What have I got to offer? As opposed to, I'm too weak. I'm not strong enough. I only know how to half do this. I'm not good enough. All of that energy has got to go. We've got to start believing in ourselves a whole lot more.
That's right. That's right. I really do believe that, the scales have just gone far too off balance, that we're just coming back into balance. And there is a little bit of shaky ground when that happens. Like you said, the rocking horse, a little bit
Yeah.
of the rocking going on, but I
Yeah.
think we're in the right path. And I think with this new renewal energy, I think it's important that we look at going back to our indigenous, which we've talked about in other
Yes.
podcasts as well,
Yes.
ways of doing things, being more community minded. But again, like you said, working as everybody has different strengths and using those strengths and not saying, well, no, it has to be this way, being open to allowing in a different way, like multiple ways to skin a cat. There are
Absolutely.
multiple ways. Not that I would ever skin a cat, but
Yeah. So we need to find a better one. I know that
Say
one
really?
pops into my head.
Yeah.
Someone's like, oh, no, we can't say that.
Yeah. I love my cats. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's going to be quite exciting, don't you think, Deidre? Isn't it
Exactly. I
exciting?
mean, it's a whole new beginning. And so, when we're at the beginning of something, we've got to remember this is what you're going to make of it. Instead of sitting
Yeah.
back and going, "It's a new beginning, what's gonna happen to me?" No, actually,
Yes.
what am I gonna take charge of and make happen for me or,
Yes.
instigate happening for me?
Yes. Yes. So, what do you think are some challenges that you think we're going to come up against in regards to that? So,
I
can you
I I think that some of the biggest challenges will be, through the media. Really, in
yes.
general. I mean, we've already seen the media has a lot of control over what we know and what we see and what we believe. And I think that's going to become quite pivotal in this year. And I think, and possibly in a good way, in the sense that, as human beings, I often say how stupid we are, and we really are very stupid. And we need things they have to get to like crunch point before anything happens. And
Yes.
so, and we've got to stop waiting to be backed
Being,
into a corner before we act. And
yeah, be
so
proactive, not reactive. Hey.
and I think the whole world is waking up. I mean, we're not seeing awful lot on mainstream news, but when you look on the other platforms out there available, the protests that are going on worldwide against everything that's going on in this world, that's really healthy. It's the people taking their power back. And of course,
Yes.
there's a lot of, I mean, especially if we look at, for instance, Iran, where people, you protest there and you often die for it. I mean, other countries aren't quite as harsh, but still, that the people, I think, the fact that the powers that be are bringing in such strict laws and trying so hard to overtake everything really shows me that they're fighting for their life.
Yeah.
That we're winning big time. But
Yeah.
it's not, unfortunately, it's going to be messy. It is because that's the way it works. So I think that's something to be aware of this year is, really, I've said this before, is to observe and don't absorb. I mean, absolutely be aware of what's going on, but don't put your head in it. Don't put your energy into it. Rather look at something and go, well, that's a mess. Wouldn't it be better if it looked like this?
Mm.
Instead of thinking, because that's what we do, and that's what the media like us to do too. They put in all
Yeah.
the awful stuff. Like I used to love watching. I was watching it last night, and I turned it off in the end. I used to love watching David Attenborough's nature programs. Anything
Yes.
I've noticed that's to do with the BBC now, it's all like this one he's got on at the moment that we're watching called Parenthood, Animal Parenthood or something. And it's all about baby animals being killed by predators rather than
Oh,
parenthood or anything nice about. I mean, there's the odd little cute picture on mum and child thing, which is nice. But then the rest of it's about, it's something, yeah, it's really horrible. It's like, why are we focusing on things like this? Why aren't we focusing on the beauty of this world or the wonderful positive things?
fair sounds. People, like you said, we're just so reactive instead of
Yeah.
proactive.
Yeah.
And it sells, it's keeping people in fear. I mean, that's how our governments are able to maintain power.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's very
And
sad. But I
we
think
just have to
more,
choose not we just have no fear, refuse to buy into that fear because
yes,
it's manufactured. It's only
yeah,
real if you believe it's real. It's like anything, it's only real if you believe it's real.
yes,
So
yes.
there's all sorts of wonderful things we can believe in to make real.
And talking to that, I feel like this year is really the year of our consciousness, human consciousness expanding and rising. So that will be for me, I feel, well, I'm pretty sure this is right, but that we're going to have a lot more people having their awakenings this year. So they're becoming more aligned with their spiritual side versus how disconnected they've been. How would you suggest, when do you think, I guess looking at the planets, do you think that, or what is it that is planetary that is creating this shift?
Um Well, there's a few things going on. I mean, there were so many major planetary shifts last year, which is quite unusual for that many of the outer planets to change signs in such a short time frame within one another. And so this year, Jupiter will move into Leo in July. Chiron's probably one of the big players in this at the moment.
Chiron,
We've had Chiron has been
yes,
in Aries for the last 7 years. So Chiron, the wounded healer. So Chiron always brings through the wound of rejection. We're all born with a wound of rejection. And whatever sign of the zodiac it sits in shows what type of rejection you've chosen to heal through in this lifetime. And then to heal other people. Because with the beauty of Chiron is whatever he's asking you to heal, once you've healed it in yourself, it gives you the ability to heal it in other people. So it's very powerful. So for the last 7 years or 6.5 years, he's been in Aries, which means that energy of Aries. So when with Chiron, when we're looking for the wound, we're looking for the shadow side of Aries. So the shadow side of Aries is, I don't think I'm good enough. I can't support myself or look after myself, and I can't be in charge of people. I don't know how to handle responsibility. I'm too scared to take responsibility. So that's what we've all been working through for the last 6.5 years, which basically comes down to, do you think you're good enough? And so we've got another 6 months until August, when Chiron will move out of Aries and into Taurus, where it'll be a whole new 7-year wound of rejection to deal with then. But for now, it's really working on that. Well, I'll talk about a little about that in a sec. This is really important, because you've got to believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in you, nobody else will. And believing in yourself is an energy. When you believe in you, other people believe in you. You give off this energy that you are confident. And it doesn't mean you have to be the king of the world and you know everything and you can do everything. It just means that there's that quiet confidence that comes from within. And we've really got to start realizing that we're all good enough. We're all enough. And no matter what we're doing and where we are. So once Chiron, in July or August, he moves into Taurus. And so once he moves into Taurus, the wound of rejection there will be very much to do with everybody's sense of security and whether they feel safe in this world. And of course, Taurus bases most of its security on money and assets. And so there's going to be a big shake-up. I think there'll be a big financial shape-up towards the end of this year. Probably I don't know how soon it'll start, but it feels like it'll be more towards the end of the year, when all of these planets are quite settled in their signs, because we've got Chiron changing signs this year. Jupiter changes signs every year, so that's not that uncommon. And the North Node will be changing signs this year, and the North Node changes signs every 18 years. So that's the only the outer planets that are changing. The inner planets, of course, are always moving and changing. So it's very much about, people realizing that we've all got something to offer. And, and really understanding that true safety and security in this world doesn't matter how much money you've got, how many cars you drive, how many houses you own. You can be absolutely miserable and have all of that. And then you can have absolutely nothing, just some dirt to play in, and you can be the happiest person in the world. And this is going to be a very important learning for humanity over the next 7 years, is understanding what true security actually is. And, true security is being able to feel safe within yourself. And we
Yes.
can only do that when we don't buy into the outside world. And that means we can't, go around a little bubble and pretending that nothing exists. Everything exists. We've got to work with it. But we can't allow it to dictate our life and how we feel and whether we're going to be fearful or whether we're going to be happy or not. We've got to do that for ourselves. And this is the sovereignty that's going to come in this year.
Yeah, because there has been a lot of that, hasn't there, Deidre, over the last 9-year cycle. It's been very much outside of yourself. Everything's kind of been out here, and everybody's been a lot of comparativeness, hence why we're in the year of, have been in the year of low self-esteem or self-worth.
Yes.
It all kind of links in, doesn't it?
And again, it comes back to media or social media that make people
Yes,
feel
social
terrible about
media.
themselves. And it's terrible that we allow that to have so much influence over us. So, there's many. I think another thing that people are talking about, because Uranus has moved into Gemini, well, he's not quite into Gemini. He was, and then he moved out, but he's about to go back in again. And so that's going to be another 7-year cycle of Uranus and Gemini. And so the last time Uranus was in Gemini was between 1942 and 1949. So that was the very end of the Second World War, and then a few years after that. And what we saw within that time was massive changes or upgrades in communication. The world became a lot more connected to itself and started. That's when sort of, not so much when the internet began, but we were all able to sort of start communicating more because of that.
Right.
Communication
Phones
can
and-
increase over the next 7 years. I believe there's a lot of talk about light language and telepathy,
Ah,
and those
yes,
sorts of
telepathy.
forms of communication becoming more useful, more valid, more common. But also, I think, of course, AI will come in with a lot of technology, a lot of forward thinking there too, which has a purpose. It has a use, but we've got to be in
Yes,
charge of it. That's the only thing,
yes.
is we can't just let it run away with us.
Yes, and I mean, when we look at Gemini as a sign, they're very communicative, aren't they? They're very much the social, the
Absolutely, yeah.
storytellers.
But the challenge, I think, will be with Uranus and Gemini is going to make everybody feel like they have to be everything to everyone all the time, because Uranus is all about change and constant change and independence. And Gemini is about communication, but it's also the most curious sign of the zodiac. So it's like we're all going to be presented with a lot of new opportunities, a lot of new experiences, but you can't do them all. So another thing that's going to be, I think, quite important this year is discernment and knowing what is
Yes.
for you and what's not. And that can be just like something that you see that it just might not be for you in this moment. It could be for you next week or next year. So it's not about completely eliminating things. It's almost like having a list of priorities. And what can I
Yes.
do at this time? Where does my energy need to be? And this is where I'm going to keep saying to people, write things down. Because while they're in your head, you're just going to confuse yourself and you're going to think about things and think about this, and it all gets all sort of like big can of spaghetti, really. You need it on paper so you can tick it off or cross it off.
Yes. So I've really been thinking a lot into meditation. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people are going to, because we're getting so much energy coming through, like you've just talked into with light language and, energy from the galaxy, that we're not used to as much. And it is going to come in quite strong, I believe. That we're going to need some self-regulating techniques. So I
Yes,
feel, a lot of meditation, being in touch with nature, walking
absolutely. Yeah. I
barefoot.
especially
Yeah.
think nature is going to be very important because it's the only thing that's real.
Yeah.
Step outside, wherever you might live in the world. A tree is a very real thing. A beach, water, they're the reality. All the other stuff is just
Made up
comes
in your
and goes.
head. Or
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stories, exactly. Yeah. So I think, if people if you don't want to meditate or you feel you can't meditate or whatever it is, if you can just get out into nature regularly, that would be hugely beneficial for everybody.
I was listening to Lee Harris and he talks into, even just 3 times a day, 5 minutes a day, just coming back to center, just giving yourself 5 minutes to just come back to your center. Because I think, as we know, when we come into shifts and changes, it gets worse before it gets better. So we're going to
Yes.
go through quite that period where we do feel pushed quite a bit, hence with all the war energy and all of that coming up as well. So we need to make sure that we're coming back to our center and really looking back at what it is that aligns with us in that moment instead of constantly,
Yeah.
being outside of
And
ourselves.
what would be your easiest way of doing that? If you do practice that for yourself, what would you do? What would your practice
My
be?
easiest, well, see, I like to meditate. I like to sit in stillness. Sometimes when my mind is really busy, because I am very multidimensional, like I'm in many different spaces. Sometimes I'll do a walking meditation. I've actually recorded my own meditations to help me to just come back into alignment with what it is that I desire and require and need. So
Yeah.
that's
Good.
the way that I do it. Otherwise, I love swimming, so going into the sea. But I'm very much like an active, an active relaxer. So if I'm going to go into the sea, I want to go diving for kaimoana. That's how,
Yeah.
or I
Yeah.
go into my garden, I get connecting into my garden and yeah, doing that. So it's all very much working with nature to help me to regulate. I'm always walking around in bare feet. If I prefer, me and all of my children, if we could walk around in bare feet all the time, we would. But yeah, so that's the thing yeah. But we live in the country, so it's a lot easier to
Yeah.
find that space.
Yeah.
And so I would say
Absolutely.
suggest to those that are in the cities, even if you just picture in your mind somewhere like by the sea, do some vision work or a tree that you've sat under and you've had just a really special moment in, that
Yeah.
can be just as good, because you're taking yourself there in that moment energetically.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
about
no,
you, Deidre?
definitely all of those things, yeah, very useful. And also, I often find an easy way too is just to place one hand on your heart and one hand on your
Yes.
on
On your
your
stomach.
sacral chakra, and just
Yeah.
breathe. Breathe
Yes.
into those spaces, and it's quick, it's easy. It doesn't need a lot of visualization. As beautiful as visualization is, it's just a quick, easy place to just breathe. And because when you put your hands on yourself, you connect with yourself, and a much more, and you can really feel that connection. I mean, you can sit there, with your hands out like this and do it as well. But when you're actually feeling your own body, it kind of it centers you and it solidifies what's going on too. It really allows that to be
Yeah.
deeply within you.
I was just looking at Paul McKenna, and he talks about that when you're touching yourself like this, it takes you back to when you were a baby and you were held in your mother's arms. So
Ah,
just that touch really is similar to what you're saying, where you're bringing back yourself back to center, back into your body, back into and like you said, it's a nice easy way of doing it. It's not doesn't take a lot of effort, does it?
yeah.
It's just
And I think,
yeah,
as you mentioned before, the galactic energy coming through in 2026 to 2027, I sort of feel that, I've always been a believer that people sort of, stand around going, when are the galactics coming to save us? When's God
yeah,
coming to save us? Well, my argument to that is, well, we made the mess. Why should someone else clean it up? We've got to clean up our own mess. But I've always felt that the galactics have been waiting until humanity got to a stage where there were more people on the good side than there were on the bad side. And I think we've reached that now, but I still feel that the galactics are waiting for I don't know, there's something else they're waiting for that we have to do as human beings. We have to rise to a certain level, have all of us be on the same page. I'm not quite sure what it is, but that there's still a little bit of waiting there. I actually feel probably more like 2027 that we will have more connection with them. But then I think people who are ready to connect now and are on the right alignment to connect now, because everybody listening to this could be sitting there thinking, oh, I'm ready, but are you ready? Are you ready
yeah.
for
That's
that
right.
energy? You've got to
That's
align your
right.
energy, because the galactics, everything's about energy, everything's about vibration. So those galactic forces, the spiritual forces, their vibration level is so much higher than ours. And the only way for us to sort of merge with them or meet with them is for us to raise our vibration and them to lower theirs. And so we've got to do work. So you can't just be sitting there having done no work and go, yeah, I'm ready for the galactics. Well, no, that their energy will probably blow
You
you off the
know,
planet.
that's right.
You've got
That's
to,
right.
yeah. So I think some people might connect sooner if they're ready. Whereas I think in general, it will probably be about end of this year, early next year, where there should be a lot more. And I don't know what that's going to look like or feel like. Do you have any ideas what you think it might look like or feel like?
I think over this year, I think when I talk about the downloads and the energy frequencies that are coming through, I think that's what they're doing. They're really helping us to lift our frequency, lift our vibration, lift our consciousness into, and that's what they're waiting for. Is they're waiting for us to come out of that this imbalance and this scaremongering and this fear that we're living in, because again, that's very low vibrational. And so once we finally say enough's enough, like what this year is bringing through sovereignty, that's really going to bounce us up to be able to, live in our power, live in our truest expressions of ourselves, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. So I think that's what they're waiting for. I do. I think that's all part of the process. Hey,
And I think another thing that's going to happen this year is we're all going to become a lot more aware of the subtleties, the negative subtleties and the positive subtleties. So one of the
yeah,
things with that, which I'm actually going to do some research into, it really interests me, is frequencies of sound. And
oh, yes,
how many
love
pieces
it.
of music do we listen to on the radio or whatever that carry a low frequency, and how many carry a high frequency? And we'll unconsciously connect anyway. But I just sort of wonder, how much time do we spend listening to low frequency energy sounds that are just
Yeah.
put out there in general?
Well, I
Um,
mean, we look at rap and all of that kind of energy, also a lot of that music, and where it's come to now, and I see the difference in our teens and how low they feel, and the suicide rates and all of that, and it's all in that music that they're putting out there. And so with my children, I've been listening to higher frequency music. Like there's a guy called Abel Hart, and he's got some great music that I really enjoy. He's a vibe, and it's all about those sound frequencies that lift you up and puts you into expansion and put you into
yeah.
a place. So, and my daughter struggles with it a lot. Like it really irritates her. And so you can kind of see that, she needs more of it.
Mhm. But then I'm
So I'm
also
concerned.
wondering, if there's some, because okay, as an example, the fluoride in toothpaste, it's fluoride in the
Yes.
water.
Yes,
Putting
yes, yes,
something
yes.
in there for everybody to consume whether they want to or not. So this is where I'm wondering out where else are these frequencies that we're constantly exposed to? And I'm not, not microwaves or stuff like that, but sound, noises. I mean, are there certain noises that have been created just to bring our frequency down? And if they are, what are they? But of course, then there's the frequencies that have been created to lift us up as well.
And some of these frequencies are so you don't even know that they're being
Yes,
distributed. They're
exactly.
that, yeah, so they're that quiet, and I think for people like us who are very attuned and we know when spirit walks in the room because our ears start to go bing, you know what
Yep,
I mean? Like I
yep.
know that it does for me and I'm pretty sure it does for you too. Or when you're dealing with higher frequencies and channeling through higher frequencies, you always get that higher pitch. So I feel like that's kind of what is playing that we don't know
Mm.
anything about. It's kind of that kind of but that is mankind, that man-made, which is very dangerous because there's an agenda then.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think we need to look at without, going too far down the rabbit hole. It's just
Yeah.
like we all just need a more awareness of where we can make choices.
Yes.
And I think for too
Yes.
long we've thought that we can't choose to do things differently to everybody else. We can't choose to go that what direction when everybody else is going the other direction. But this year, we're all going to start to feel actually, if that direction feels right for me, I'm going to take it. And I don't care what you all say, and I don't care that everybody else is going that way. That doesn't feel right for me. So I'm going to act on that. I'm going to feel that, and I'm going to honor that part of myself. Because that's your higher self, that's your soul taking charge of you, which is exactly what should be happening for everybody.
Yes, yes. I think this is definitely the year we will see a lot more people that have never been the black sheep of the family becoming a little bit more like the black sheep because they're going off on their own hikoi,
Yeah.
their own walk, their own journey.
Yeah. And another bit of advice to anybody, there's a lot of people, a few people around me have hit this new year with some massive family or struggles going on of some sort. And I think what we've got to be aware of is that if things in your life aren't working, if there's something that is sort of falling apart for you, you've got to understand that it's meant to. Because, especially when we start a new year, but when we start a whole new 9 years, we have to be so aware of what are we taking with us and what do we
Yes.
actually need to leave behind. It's done, it's used its purpose up, it's done and dusted. It doesn't bring joy, positivity, confidence, and uplift into our life. So it's done its work. It needs to go. And it doesn't mean that it's bad or evil or awful. It just means that it's just like a used tissue. You don't need
Yeah.
it anymore. You can throw it away. And so
Yeah.
anybody who's still trying to hold on to something and is struggling to hold on to something, just know that that is not for you anymore. And that's why it's
Yeah.
going. And
It
it doesn't mean
reminds
it's
me of that.
permanent. It can come back.
That's right. It reminds me of, when you say, thank you, God, for closing the doors that I wanted to keep open, or, that kind of, those kind of analogies. It's like we don't know what we don't know. And we just have to trust that these things are happening for us. Everything is happening for us.
Yes.
And if we
Yeah.
think about ourselves as high consciousness beings, we've actually created these situations to happen in order for us to move on to the
Exactly.
next better thing that's around the corner. Yeah, having faith in yourself and those around you and in the spirit world. Know that you are divinely protected and guided.
And the more you can look at everything as learning instead of hurt or that was out to get me or that didn't work and just think, okay, that didn't work. What have I learnt from this experience? And, why didn't it work? And why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? What's this all about? We've got to come back to sort of being more aware of ourselves instead of going around like robots all the time, just acting and reacting as we're programmed to. We've got to start really
Yeah,
thinking, why do I feel like this? Why do I want to do this and not want to do that?
yeah, and we've got to. I think the thing with when we have all of the spiritual knowledge, sometimes we can we can sometimes bypass the human experience of it. And I think it's really important that we do give space to those relationships or those events that have changed or, those jobs and all of that. And really just like you said, analyze what you got out of it. Say, okay, this is what I really enjoyed in that space. And now this is what I'm going to look for in the next space that I'm moving into. So taking, like you said, the shedding, letting go of what wasn't serving you in that, but actually picking up the stuff that was serving you in those spaces and take that with you into your next new experience.
Yeah. And being also
But
aware
yeah, sorry.
of, I think what else is gonna come through for us is the more awareness of the talents that are latent or that we've ignored. And again, as if
Yes,
other
that
things
this
like
was
you
the
might
year.
have all your, been a really successful, say you've been a really successful architect all your life, and that's what you've been really good at, but you've never explored that. You're also a great painter, but you've never explored
Yeah.
that. Because you're busy being an architect. So I do sort of feel this year is going to allow people to see what else they can bring to the table. Not necessarily throwing away a good career or anything like that, but just realize actually I'm good at this too, or this makes me happy too. So I'd want to
Yes.
do more of this and contribute more of this.
Which is perfect because we are so multifaceted. We're not just meant to just be like this. We're meant to actually look at the world with and see all of our talents and be able to really truly express ourselves in all areas instead of just, oh, I'm only allowed to show this part of myself and I can only show this part of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a challenging year, but I mean the 2020s were always going to be the most challenging decade probably of this century. And that was
Okay.
always going to be because there's so much change going to go on in the 2020s. So, I think we all need to sort of look at life and just see this is all change and it's all actually change for the better. And, it almost is the harder, the worse it looks out there, the more you can know what progress we're making because
Yes.
it can't it's just we're going forward with all of this change, and although it looks very messy and unfair and unjust, and it is in many ways, but there's a beautiful bright future at the end of it for everybody.
Yes. 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 It always gets worse before it gets better. And that's what we
Yeah,
need to be looking at. It's getting
yeah,
worse because it's going to be getting so much better.
exactly. And I would like to think that from 2027 on we're through the worst of it,
Yeah, great. That sounds
but
good.
that's up to humanity. Yeah,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
So what star sign do you think is really going to thrive this year? Is it our Aries star sign or is
Well, Aries they will feel more empowered to step into their own,
mm,
but at the same time, the, as
they
the
have the shadow
empowerment of the
stuff coming
positive
through?
traits of Aries come up, so will the negative traits of Aries come up. So both of
Right.
those will be amplified.
Yeah.
So what you might find, the opposite to Aries is Libra. So Libra might actually step into its own quite a lot this year, stepping
Oh,
into
I'm
that
listening.
energy because Libra rules relationships. Aries is
Mm,
the solitary, Libra is the relationship. And so
mm.
as we move into this Aquarian energy, the community energy, we're going to sort of see the more how we can. How can I be an individual but be part of something at the same time?
Yeah,
Without
okay.
having to actually be the leader or the person in charge or anything like that, but just what have I got to bring to this group, whatever that might be. So I think Aries and Libra will sort of be featured quite a lot. Jupiter is the planet of growth and abundance, and he's a very happy and benevolent planet. So usually whatever sign of the zodiac Jupiter's sitting in can really grow and expand during this year. But it's been interesting. Jupiter's been in Cancer for the last 6 months and will be for the next 6 months of 2026, sorry.
Thanks.
But I'm a Cancerian, and I know a lot of Cancerians, and it's been interesting. I mean, like I said, my year's been pretty good, but I've known a lot of other Cancerians because, if Jupiter's expanding on Cancerian energy, it's expanding on everybody's sensitivity, everybody's sense of belonging, everybody's sense of intuition. All of that's expanding. And so I've also come across a lot of Cancerians who haven't coped at all with this energy
Oh,
because of the expansion of their sensitivity has made it very hard to cope. But usually
yes.
in general, when Jupiter's in your sign of the zodiac, it's a positive time for you. So in July, he moves into Leo. So Leos could actually really step into their own towards the end of this year as well, because Leo's also a fire sign like Aries. So I think those leadership energies have got a real opportunity to step up this year and just show the way a little bit, not take charge so much, but show the way. Um,
Yeah.
I think I haven't actually looked into, to be honest with you, I haven't looked into the eclipses for this year and what signs of the zodiac they're falling in, but that will also be relevant, but I just haven't had a chance to look into it yet. But I think that'll be relevant. But yeah, and so the Aries energy, the Aquarian energy, of course, Aquarians are really stepping into their own now. And anyone who's got strong Aquarian energy in their chart is really going to step into their own this year, because that ability to just be different is going to be like such a celebration as opposed to a liability or something you've been judged for before. It's going to become, really a good thing. So I think Aquarians can really step into their own this year and not be afraid to. He thinks so too. Yeah.
The seagulls agree.
Yay. Yeah.
What I'm finding is that we've got a lot more different modalities of spirituality that seems to be coming up, more so than what we've had in the past. So generally we've had astrology, we've had people that can channel, we've had, well, even that's still quite new, isn't it, with light language and that, but not new, right? So new for mainstream, I should say. And then we've got, our clairvoyants, our tarot readers, like the traditional. But now we're starting to tap into more. Like I have a lady coming on the podcast in a couple of days who does energy frequencies. So more, traditional indigenous kind of spiritual work that has kind of been held quite sacred. So she does plant medicine, rongoa, so which I would say from Māori, it's more rongoa. Stuff that we've kind of like I was just about to talking to, being really sacred and just kept to certain few. Whereas I feel like now we're coming into a space where we're actually being able to get more access to this kind of information. Now, is that to do with planetary alignment as well?
Yes and no. I sort of feel that's also about, I've been watching this develop over the last, quite a few years now, where people have taken the old modalities and they're putting their own slant on them, or they're bringing them into the 21st century, basically. Because that was one of the things with Chiron and Aries, is the energy of the pioneer, the ability to take something from the past and bring it into the 21st century and make it relevant.
Yes.
So I think that
and
is
this
a
is
very
also
powerful energy coming in.
Aquarius
Sorry?
energy too, isn't it? This is very Aquarian as well, isn't it? The Aquarius energy, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're really aligned. So yeah, I think that moving forward, that's going to be really beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, which is great because I mean, we need to grow and expand. This is what we are as humans. We're not
Yeah.
staying the same. Everything is shifting and changing, and
Yeah.
that's what I do struggle with a lot of traditional things. Is they try and keep you back there, but we're not there anymore. We
Exactly.
need to make it relevant for
Exactly.
now, for where we are, to make it work.
And I think some of these groups or societies or organizations that have a particular modality, they've got to wake up and realize that they have to evolve. Like, for instance, I mean, I'm not a Reiki, I don't do Reiki. I know what it is and everything, I understand it, but I don't do it myself. But what I've noticed is that as time's evolved, the symbols aren't as relevant as they used to be, because it's becoming more about the energy. And so people are taking things like Reiki and they're adding something else to it, or they're combining it with another modality. Like I remember having a treatment in Australia many years ago, which was a combination between Reiki and Bowen therapy. Now, the Bowen clinic, people were horrified that people would use Reiki in conjunction with it, but the combination of those two was so powerful. It was so good. And so we've got to let go of those old, as you say, that can only be done this way, because we've got to keep evolving and growing. That's what we're here for. And that's what when we were stuck in Capricorn, we were stuck in the old ways, and now we're moving into the new ways.
And I think that's the thing as well, is when we look at us all as individual beings and individual, souls, we all have our own unique gifts as well that we're bringing in from past lives, and also, so it is going to be a mixture of many, because we haven't just had one incarnation on Earth. We are bringing in a lot of our, right. So it's okay to do it different. And I think that's the thing, is like contact care. Contact care is a fantastic modality, but it also, I believe, you need to work with, I mean, if you've got the skill set to be able to use Reiki or Miri or, these other, why would you not? Why would you just say, no, I'm just going to do this one thing here, though I know that I can do something else? It just doesn't make sense from a healer's perspective. Why wouldn't you use all of it?
Yeah. I mean, we're growing, evolving organisms, and we need to keep going with that, because once you stop, when you stop, you start to rot and stagnate, and that's never a good way to be.
I mean, how many healers have I seen that because they've stopped healing others, they've gotten sick themselves? Healers must heal.
Right.
It just is what it is, you know? It's their calling. Yeah. Yes. Talking about if you don't use it, it rots.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think people need to be confident that if you can see a different way of doing Reiki, if you can do a different way of doing massage, miri, whatever, do it.
Yeah.
See what you can get
Yeah.
out of it. See
Yeah.
what people can benefit from with you
I've
changing and
had
evolving your treatments.
I've got Frank Ajaba Pizza who comes onto the podcast and talks into Reiki, and he was with the he's just now recently, and because I think, again, this is all in alignment with where we are going as human consciousness, but he's just stepped into his own field. So he's been working underneath the Swiss Association, I think it is, for years and years and years. And now he's stepped into his own work. And so he's at that, renewal, new beginning stage of his journey. But it's all because of that. He doesn't want to go and take away, like he's taken all of the fundamentals that he has taken from his experience in the Reiki world, and he's now sharing it his way, which is what I think
Yeah,
is more to the point. It's not about saying, okay, hold on, I'm going to do Reiki, but I'm going to incorporate this new symbol because this is la di da di da. It's about using what it is that you've taken from that, your own interpretation of that, and going on your way. It's not about fully changing and taking away any of the integrity of the work that all the past ancient wisdom that's been handed down. But it is about
absolutely.
allowing your interpretation and everything that you bring in as a sovereign being into that experience and allow that to unfold. And I really believe that is the best treatment you can get, is from somebody that allows them whatever needs to come in that moment for the person
Yeah,
that's in front of them when you are doing a treatment, a healing treatment.
yeah. Because, we've been really stuck in that one size fits all society for so long now. It's ridiculous. And we all know one size does not
Limiting,
fit
so
all. We're all so
limiting.
different.
No.
And so by being, this allows for that and allows everybody to keep growing and yeah, evolving. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And being limitless, because we are limitless beings. We are limitless beings. The only limitations that we have are the ones that we put on ourselves.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good year. I think people should really look at, what do you want? What do you want to create this year? And, aim high, but also realize you've got 9 years to create this as well. It doesn't all have to be done
Yes.
this year, but definitely put down, ground yourself in some good ideas, some good concepts, some good values, whatever it is. I mean, you want to change something. It doesn't necessarily have to be your job or your relationship or where you live. It could just be your attitude towards something, or a spending
Yes.
problem you might have, or a drinking problem you might have, whatever it might be. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a small thing,
No.
but every little bit helps.
Yeah, and it is. It's a reframe, or it's I think a lot talking into certain things that come up along the way, we can be our worst critics and we can be our own worst enemies. And I really think now is the time to be your own best friend and actually say, hey, you know what? You might be struggling with that, and that's okay because you're human. But what are we going to do about it? Do we want to keep repeating that, or do we want to go in a different way? Really talking to yourself how you would talk to somebody that you love and care for and nourish, because I think that negative self-talk, it's time to go. And that's what's going to help us by being more kind to ourselves, is what's going to help us raise our frequency, our vibration. It's going to help us manifest in these dreams and that we've been kind of sitting in and pondering over for so long. It help get that positive momentum going forward, I think.
Yeah. Well,
Really
I think
help.
with the
Yeah.
horse energy and the number 1 year energy, we've got that. I mean, it's that momentum of new beginnings, and that's unavoidable. So we've
Yes.
really got that energy. It's just about people, making use of it rather than just
Yes.
watching it go by.
Yes. 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 Or being too scared of it. I think
Yeah,
that's another thing. That's what I really feel. I feel there's a lot of fear in this space right now, because people are going, I don't actually relate to that anymore. I don't find happiness in that anymore, but I don't know what else to do from here. Like, I know there's something that needs to come
exactly.
in, but I don't actually know how to bring it in, what to bring, that kind of thing. So like you've said, writing things down, writing down your goals, I feel like doing a pros and cons list is always good, or even, this is how I feel about this right now. Like, okay, so what is that? I think is it, I can't remember which one it is. I don't want to quote the wrong person, but they talk about writing down all the things that you want to bring in, no matter what they are, right? So no matter what they are, they might be, I want to have I want to have a mansion on the beachfront, right? And then how you feel about whether that's actually going to come into your reality or not, and why you think that you can't have that. And then it's about breaking that down and then pulling that out and then saying, okay, so these are my limitations. This is where so really getting centered
Great
with where your thought
exercise.
patterns are.
Yeah, good
And then you
exercise.
can kind of, yeah. So I think there's lots of things when you're in this fear space that
Yeah,
you can nut it out, otherwise you'll just stay there. I think it is really important to do the work, do the journaling. What is it that I'm feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What belief system is in me that is creating
yes,
this fear, because really I'm a limitless being. I can do whatever I want. I can call on whatever I
yeah,
want, what is the
yeah,
programming that has put me in this space that's making me feel like I can't?
yeah.
And then, okay, well, that's great. We know that's just a belief that I once believed, but now I'm going to move that to the side and I'm going to bring in a belief that actually serves me in the direction that I want to be going
Mm.
in.
Yep, that's exactly how it's done. And we've really got to look at, why. And so many things in our lives are habitual. We've just always done it that way. And so there's so many things that you don't even question about yourself. And you suddenly realize, oh, why do I do it like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time for that to change
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I
yeah,
think because we're stepping into this more sovereign energy, Deidre, we'll probably have less of the pack mentality going on, which means that we will be able to fully just go, no, this is what I want. I'm going to go towards that, versus, oh, but then how is this person going to fit in? And who am I going to be leaving behind by doing that? I feel like we'll have less of that and more of, no, I'm going to choose me
yeah.
energy. Does that sound
Yeah, because
right?
we really need to step more into the self-love and the self-worth because that's what allows you to make decisions and choices without thinking about how it's gonna, what someone else might think or how it might bother anyone. Because 'cause you're just thinking about you and not selfishly, you're just thinking, "This is what makes me happy, this is what brings me joy, so this is, of course, the direction I'm gonna take."
And as we know, when we choose us, we are ultimately choosing the ones that we love anyway, because they get that version of you. They get the version of the loved, happy, outgoing, living in your passion version of you versus like resentment and the other thing I wanted to talk into is this sacrificial energy. I feel like we're moving out of, I have to sacrifice this to get that. What do you think around that? How do you feel into that? Do you
Yeah.
think that we're kind of
Yeah, because I
shifting
think
from
that's a
there?
very old way of thinking that, oh yeah, that whole, energy of no gain without pain.
Right.
Again, the
Yeah.
stupidness of humans. When
Right.
we all know, like, we look at manifesting for as an example is, you can manifest things so easily from a single thought or a single, "I need this," and we don't even realize it until after the fact. We think, "Oh, I just asked for that once and I got it." And there's other times you might spend hours going, "Oh, please let me have this. Please let this come to me," and it doesn't come to you. Because manifestation is about a thought. It's not about doing lots of work, it's about putting it out there. And so, yeah, I think we're all going to start to see, I'd like to, people start to see how easy it is to create what you want through positivity, not through demanding, praying, begging, imploring, but actually just through that positive, yeah, that's me. I align with that. That
That's
mansion on the
it.
beach, yeah, that's a bit of me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm comfortable with that because when we think about using the mention on the beach as an example, if you're not come from that way of living, it can feel very like what are they going to talk? What are they going to think about me if I've got that? And who am I going to like? Who will like? You feel you can put so many obstacles up in your way to prevent you from getting that. And if we understand that everything is energy, and so if you're saying, "Oh no, no, no," then the universe is saying, "Okay, no, no, no." So it's really
Yeah.
important that we're getting
Yeah.
into alignment and we know that, yeah, I do deserve this. Yes, I am gonna enjoy myself there and I am going to be able to. And what I do believe with manifestation is that the more people that it serves, the more likely that you're going to get it because of the energy exchange, right? So if we're looking at, so if we say, I want to do this amazing, I want this business, why do you want the business? You want the business for just yourself or you want it because you're going to make great impact in your communities? You're more likely to receive that faster if you've got the intention of serving the highest good of all versus just the highest good of
Yes.
yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
We could probably
Good.
have a whole podcast on
Yeah.
manifestation, couldn't we, Deidre?
We could. We could do that
Yeah.
sometime. Be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything that you really want to, before we finish up, that you really want to get out to our audience that we haven't spoken into? Yeah.
Um, no, I mean, what's going well? I'm still offering year ahead readings. If anybody up until the end of January, if anyone wants a reading
Fabulous.
for their year ahead and what's the
Yes.
stars have got in store for you, I'm available for those until the end of January. Just send me an email and I'll be able to do those for you. Yeah, I've got some retreats. I've got a retreat in Bali coming up in June, which is
Oh,
all
that.
about it was all leaf. And it's actually designed, this retreat I've designed for women over the age of 50. Sorry, no guys at
See?
this one, just for
Yeah.
women. Because it's really, if women need to realize that once you turn 50, your life is not over. It's actually 50 to 60
Just
and onwards is often the time of your life when you have the most time for yourself. So what are you going to do with it? You don't need to sit in the back room knitting and talking to the grandchildren. You can do that, of course, but there's a lot more out there for you. So that
young to
retreat's
be
all
doing
about
that
that
at
in the
50.
beautiful Eco Lodge in Bali. And
Gorgeous.
I've also got a dragon retreat coming up on the Coromandel at Waihi in the end of March with Hilda
Nice.
Marley, who is a Ayurvedic doctor and art therapist. So she's going to bring in sort of art therapy to integrate the dragon work. And there's a few online things coming up as well. But yeah, so what I would like to do is at the end of this year is to run a big retreat in New Zealand. I haven't done one in New Zealand for a few years, and so I'm just looking for I quite like to do it in the area that I'm living down by Nelson. So
Gosh.
I'm looking for a good venue down here to do a big retreat. But I could come up to you too, Catherine. We'll see.
Okay, good.
We'll see what the rest of the year holds.
Because I do have other amazing people that are quite keen on doing a retreat as well, and I can just see it working, us all working together with all of our different
Wonderful.
amazing skills. So let's talk into that later on.
I'd love to be a part of something like that. Yeah. It could be good to lead the way with the bringing people together like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I
Good.
do want to also you to also talk into your soul chart readings on around your birthday, so year to year. That's also something that you offer as well, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, so every year on your birthday, the sun returns to the exact same spot in the sky that it was at the time you were born, and so we can create a chart there of your stars for the next year. So it sets you up to know what you're in store for over the next 12 months of your life, from your birthday one year until your birthday the following year. So that's not a calendar reading; it's birthday to birthday. So it's called a solar return reading. So you can find those on my website as well. So yeah, they're really good to forewarned is forearmed with the solar return charts.
Absolutely. Or if you've got children as well, it also helps.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was great. I had my daughter had hers. I had my daughter's done, and it's been really helpful. So just for her as well as for
Good.
myself. So
Good. Great.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so
Good.
much for your time. As you know, it's always so
Thank
good to
you.
have you on the show and helping us all get through this year. Very exciting year ahead.
Thank you for
All right.
having me on the show, Catherine. It's lovely to talk to you as always. And we'll
Yes.
talk again soon.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Awesome. All right.
Bye.
Lots of love.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
As we close this conversation, I invite you to take a moment to notice what's being stirred up within you. 2026 is not something to fear. It's something to consciously step into. A year that asks us to stand in our sovereignty, trust our inner knowing, and remember that true security has always lived within us. Thank you, Deidre, for sharing your wisdom, insight, and grounded perspective on the energies ahead. And thank you for being part of this space, for listening, reflecting, and choosing awareness over reaction. If you found value in this episode, please follow, rate, and share the podcast, and stay connected for future conversations exploring astrology, healing, self-regulation, and what it truly means to return to wholeness. Until next time, stay grounded, stay sovereign, and keep choosing alignment over fear. Ka kite anō.